Hi, it's Nikole from Nikole Beauty Co. If you would like to see how I build up this gorgeous green look, stay tuned. Hello my beauties, I am so excited you clicked on this video because we are going to go into a new palette today, Whalesong. It's Nikole from Nikole Beauty Co. Thank you for spending a moment of your day with me. So let's dive right in. That's the palette. First, let's start with the brand. The brand was started by CEO Samantha. She does not list her last name, on October 19th, 2019, so it's a very new cosmetic company. Her goal was to make a vegan, cruelty-free, talc-free palette, and a portion of her profits are going to animal charities, which are voted on once a year by her customers. The return policy. She does have a return policy. She will accept unopened, unused cosmetics within 14 days. She will refund the purchase price, but not any shipping cost, and it is your responsibility to pay for the return shipping. She does not take returns on sale and discount items or promo items, and if your original order qualified for a gift and you do not also return that gift, the full value of the gift will be deducted from your refund. I ordered online from the website ManagerieCosmetics.com. I placed my order on the 5th of January. The order was processed and sent out. The order was shipped on January 14th, and I received my order on January 16th. I bought 3 items, 2 liquid lipsticks and the eyeshadow palette. The Velvet liquid lipstick was $14.95, as was the matte lipstick at $14.95, and the cosmetic palette itself was $32, for a total order of $61.90, and I was charged $6.95 shipping. I paid via PayPal, which is my preferred method when dealing with vendors that are unfamiliar to me. Packaging. Samantha says her background is actually in graphic design, and I think the packaging is really cute. Hopefully you guys can see the tiny little fox on this. This was the cardboard packaging for the palette, and you can see the beautiful, beautiful whale that was the cover art for this. In our lipsticks, both of them had the exact same packaging. Hopefully you can see the beautiful little fox wrap around. In addition to the Whalesong palette, I ordered Juniper, which is a bright green liquid lip, and Neurothemis, which is a cranberry color. Juniper is of course the green after the tree, Neurothemis being the cranberry color. So I specifically ordered this palette because it was way outside my comfort zone. I do not normally gravitate towards greens and blues, so I felt like what I needed in my life in 2020 was some greens and blues, because I am going to start doing things that scare the pants off me. And so this palette scares me terribly, because it's just not something that I normally gravitate to. And as a matter of fact, if you've been with my channel for any length of time, you know that I really come from a perspective of neutrals, and I'm trying very hard as I creep on to 50 years old to get out of my comfort zone and really try things that I have previously just point blank told myself that's not for you. So this 12 pan palette consists of both shimmers and mattes, and they have a really interesting color story. It isn't a color story that I would normally gravitate to, but you guys know I am trying stuff out. Really cute. So I got to turn sideways to do this here. We have Pearl, Plankton, Barnacle, Cetacean, Fluke, Reef, Bubble Net, Reaching, Kelp, Dive, Splash, and Whalesong. So the Pearl, the Fluke, the Splash, and the Whalesong are kind of your foily, shimmery colors, and everything else is a matte. So we are going to swatch these out. So starting on what is my left and going to my right, and correspondingly in the palette in the upper left and then down to the lower right, we have Pearl, Plankton, Barnacle, Cetacean, Fluke, Reef, Bubble Net, Reaching, Kelp, Dive, Splash, Whalesong. Now I realize, of course, I am heavily tattooed, so I don't know that my swatches are of the most value, but what I do think is important is because I'm tattooed, you can actually see a really good indication of how sheer the color is going to be. So I think this particular color story would be really, really flattering, particularly actually on dark skin, because my experience as a tattoo artist is that greens and blues look fantastic on darker skin. I think this is going to be a very, very bright palette on pale skin. If you're into brights, woohoo, this is going to be an interesting look. It's scaring me. I don't mind. We are going to go in anyway and check it out. So the very first color that I am going to dip into is going to be Plankton. And one of the things that I am trying out today, because I have heard about it and I think it's kind of cool, is this, which is actually a really simple invention. It's designed to make changing makeup colors easier so that you are not tainting your brush from one color to another. And what it is basically a pretty darn firm sponge, and there is a metal container that has a lid. So the firm fibers of the brush are going to grab the excess shadow and it's going to be caught in the little tin. And hopefully this is going to allow using some really, really bright colors without having your brush completely tainted in between them. Now I do have a huge, huge makeup brush collection that I'm going to review soon, the Morphe James Charles brush collection, but I wanted to start today with this. So hopefully you can see it pulled out some of the colors out of my Pinrose Sephora collection brush. So I am going to go into the color Plankton, which is a algae green. I'm pulling that quite high on my upper lid, but not going quite to my brow. Okay, so you can see some of that color. And I'm going to go into a darker color right now called Bubble Net. I really do like the names of these because they do all relate to whales. Now I am getting a absolute massive amount, hopefully you can see that, of excess pigmentation. So be prepared. This is not something you should be using if you are going to have a white dress on without maybe having a towel over you, because I'm just getting a ton. Now Bubble Net I think is an absolutely gorgeous color. I'm not as drawn to plankton because, much like the name, it just kind of reminds me of mold. Well, not that plankton is mold, but it's not a color that I would normally reach for. But I am really, really trying not to prejudge here, not to prejudge. I've spent so much of my life listening to what other people thought and what other people had to say, and really just not living my best version of me because I was concerned about their thoughts. Lay in a little bit more plankton. Did a better job on this eye than that eye. I'm just stamping that in. I am getting some kickback. So on the inner lower lid and the outer lower lid, I'm going in with Reef, which is a beautiful Christmas green. And dipping back into plankton, I am going to pull that shadow all along my lower lash line. And on the inner corner, I'm just incorporating the overspray of the Reef. I'm not through my makeup, but if this is a palette that interests you, I would definitely encourage you to use some shadow shields because I'm getting all kinds of little green doohickeys popping out here. And that's just a little bit of Bubble Net drag from the outside to the inside, but I'm not going over the Reef area because I kind of like that lighter green. Matter of fact, I'm going to make that a little more prominent here. I'm just using an angled brush and pulling. Okay, at this point I need to step away from my makeup table just to kind of cut down on the overspray that I have. I don't have anything on my table that can take care of that, so I will be right back. Next, taking a tiny bit of concealer on a small brush, I'm going to do a center highlight. Now, if you are new to doing concealer tricks, if you have really, really hooded eyes, the concealer is going to make the concealer, or the hood of your eyes is going to show you how high up you need to put the concealer so that it actually shows when you're looking straight ahead. So just put a little more on. So you can see it's a little higher than I would do if I was trying to eyeball it. I would probably always undershoot it. So I like doing this, and then I'm just taking my finger and tapping the edge so that when I lay the foily, shimmery color on, it's a little easier to blend. The other thing that's important is that you're putting on enough concealer that you're actually making it opaque. You're not trying to blend it out to be translucent, because otherwise when you lay that foil on it, you're not going to get the same amount of pop. So I'm going to go in with a mix of kelp. Oh, I love that. That's like a really bright avocado green, really pretty. And then finally, I'm going to overlay pearl on top of that, but only on the lower lid. And I'm trying to really highlight that stripe, so I'm not going too far over. I don't want to hit the reef color, which is kind of like the Christmas green. And then just taking a fluffy brush, I'm just going to get rid of any harsh lines. And using my Anastasia of Beverly Hills, let's turn it right side up, there we go, Anastasia of Beverly Hills liquid liner in black, I'm going to go along my upper lash line. I feel like with a more dark tone, the black is the better choice. But you could do brown, because green and brown look great together. Okay, so I'm going to try a different way to do a wing that I saw today. I will list it in the description of the video that originally did it. What the guru suggested, and I'm sorry I don't remember her name, but like I said, I'll link the video. She wanted you to create a tiny little triangle. And I don't know that this is going to work on my eye shape, but I'm going to give it a shot. Doesn't really work on my eye shape, unfortunately. Basically, what she advocated was to create a straight line up at the lash line vertically and then draw towards the lash. And if my eye were like her, she has very deep set eyes, this would give you kind of a doe look. But unfortunately, my eyes are far too hooded on the edge for that to actually work out. But now I've got to mimic it. if you haven't been with me before, you should know that I am a makeup enthusiast, not a makeup artist. I'm actually a tattoo artist. And some of my main concerns in terms of makeup are hiding the fact that I have hooded eyes, or at least not emphasizing it. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it does not. But I think for you to be successful in anything, you've got to be willing to try new things, to step out of your comfort zone, and to embrace mistakes. I make mistakes with my makeup all the time, and I try to learn from those mistakes. And I think that overall, if you were to look at my application when I started my YouTube channel in August, there's definitely been a ramp up in terms of the application quality, and particularly because I'm willing to make mistakes. I'm willing to try things. I'm willing to see if it works for me. So if you don't have hooded eyes, I think this technique would be great. So again, I'm making the little vertical line. And drawing it towards the lash. Create a tiny triangle. Yeah, I'm sorry to say that does not work even a little bit for my particular eye shape. So that is an eyelining fail, my friends. That's okay. Going in with Teaspoon, my gel cream liner from ColourPop, I am going to get a little bit of green eyeliner on the waterline. I'm just taking the side of my finger and dragging that down because my eyelids are mature, and unfortunately I personally have a little bit of loose skin there. And you guys should know, maybe it's obvious, maybe it isn't, but if it's not obvious, I'm totally telling you, I am definitely a person who believes in fighting aging. I don't have any problem whatsoever basically doing anything that's within my power to make myself look a little bit younger. Now, I'm fortunate that just naturally speaking, I don't look like I'm, 4 months away from turning 50. Okay, so I like that. And using Showdown, which is a blue, I'm actually going to do that at the base of my lashes under my waterline, and then I'm going to smudge that out into the green just to try to give a little bit more contrast. And if you are looking for contrast and don't know exactly how to build it, contrast is always its strongest when you're pairing something of either opposite value, like purple and orange, or opposite intensity, something that's very light next to something that's very dark. So we're going to take that out and smudge it. Again, using this to kind of get some of the excess tone. Now, of course, this is actually doing a surprisingly decent job at getting any loose eyeshadow off, but it's not going to replace the need for washing my brushes. Okay, that brush was, the first brush I used was a little bit too not firm enough to get the job done. And we all know if it's not firm enough to get the job done, there's no happiness involved. Okay, so I am going to pop on a little Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara, and we will see what we have. So a lot of times if I'm using a darker value of eyeshadow, I like to put on multiple coats of mascara because I am basically looking for like tarantula legs glued to my little eyes. I feel like a little bit of clumpiness actually makes the lashes show up better against the dark value. So I'm okay with it. So one of the things you should know about me is that I have winter triggered eczema, and it is the end of January 2020 when I'm shooting this video, and my eczema is really starting to kick in. So if you have high definition television, you're definitely going to see a lot of crustiness. I tend to get eczema on the nasal folds, and I tend to get it under my chin pretty badly, and it's definitely kicking in. So we are going to go in with our Juniper. Okay, so I used just a tiny bit of ABH Modern Renaissance, the Tempura color, which is basically just a matte beige, just to clean up the negative space underneath the brows. That step is optional, but I feel like it needs to happen. And I did get quite a lot of overspray on either side of my nose, so I tried to lighten that up using the Tempura on either side. Okay, so you know that none of my videos as of today, February 27th, 2020, are affiliated. They're not sponsored. I buy all the products with my own money, which frees me to be completely honest. And I have to tell you, this lip color, I love it. I think it is gorgeous. However, the doe foot, let's talk about it. Hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. You can see in the center of the doe foot, there's a little indentation which is meant to hold the product. This doe foot is one of the worst doe foots I've ever used in a lipstick. I can feel through the little fuzz that holds the product at the sharp edges of the doe foot, unfortunately. And I love matte lipsticks, and this lipstick is actually drying out my lips as we speak. So there's that. Now, in terms of the palette, I thought the colors are beautiful. I'm going to actually really look forward to greens and blues a little more. I'm definitely going to play with this a little bit more, but I really do like the look. I am sad about the lipstick, but the doe foot being slightly inferior or cheap really doesn't bother me. It really does not. I just have to go a little slower, putting on the lipstick than I might with a more plush doe foot. So, you know, if that bothers you and you don't want to take the risk, I can completely understand that. But for me, it's not really that big of a deal. Let's talk about the Whalesong palette. So I only used 5 out of the 12 colors. Of those 5, I felt like all of them that were your more matte formulas, so particularly your plankton, your reef, your kelp, there was a lot of fallout in the pan. I mean, just crazy amounts, to the point where I kind of wonder, I'm in one of my spare bedrooms, which has carpet, and the carpet is champagne colored, and I did blow the palette off because there was just so much dust on it from the excess pigment. I'm a little concerned that there might be some green on my carpet. I gotta be real. I gotta keep it honest. So if fallout in the pan bothers you, there was a ton. If it doesn't bother you and that's something you've just grown accustomed to in your makeup, or you're putting your makeup in an area that doesn't have a very porous surface like carpet or rug, it's probably just fine. I really like the look. You know, I'm not normally a fan of green, but I think this is really pretty. So let me give you we're gonna hit it up with some CoverGirl Outlast Active. Now, if you happen to have really scaly skin, or you have eczema that happens to manifest on the face like I do, I find these cooling sprays or setting sprays to be very helpful once you do your makeup, to try to cut back on some of the crustiness that you're going to get from having eczema.
My final thoughts are, this is a really nice palette. It's buildable, it's blendable, it has vibrant pigments, they are opaque. The negative is that there is quite a lot of kickback from the lids, but there isn't, you don't blend it away. It actually stays pretty vibrant on the lids, but in the pan there is an inordinate amount of fallout. It's very dusty in the pan, so just be aware when you're putting it on, if this particular palette interests you, that you're going to get overspray. And definitely wear shadow shields, but overall I really like it. I look forward to using it again, and I enjoy it. So thank you. Have a great day.